Hi, I'm home alone today, so I am going to do some joint caulk on some of the areas that we wallpapered in the house, and I wanted to just give a little tour. This is our living area, well, living room, I guess, and it is connected to the kitchen. And then we have a bedroom. So right now we have the 2 futon, and we don't have the closet doors on all the way, but these are traditional Japanese closets. They are very, very deep. You could see like the shelf. My arm can go all the way to the end, and then these are the doors that go on it. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fix them up yet, but and then the weird thing is the ceiling inside is very high. These are just very deep because you're supposed to be able to put your futon inside. So if you fold up this mattress, you're supposed to be able to put it inside like that, but we're using it for some storage. That down there is the, I think it's called glass fiber or glass wool. It's the insulation pads. And then I'm also letting them keep some of their craft stuff in here, otherwise it's going to like take over the room. So we have that, and then this is also like a traditional Japanese hallway. Let me see. I don't know if I can't turn around the camera right now, so I'll show you. There's a hallway on the other side, and then that's the old kitchen sink. Then our yard. So right now we are putting the tools in this hallway area, but you could still go through the doors, through the rooms to get around. You don't have to use the hallway. And these screen, very thin paper doors were also part of the house when we got it. And so you could see that there are some rips, but that is pretty common with these types of doors, that you just take off the paper and replace it. So they're super impractical, but I guess the advantage is that they do let in like a soft amount of light. So if you don't want it super bright in your room in the morning, it's nice. But yeah, I'm not really sure what we're gonna do because they are expensive to replace the actual door frame or like to make it into a wall. And we have these giant windows out here, so you do want to have a level of you want to have a layer between the outside and your room, because it's going to be so cold in the winter here. So one thing that people do is they put a curtain rod up here, and then they'll have like curtains, and we could do blackout curtains or something. But yeah, right now I'm just keeping them open. They can go like, they can close all the way, but I just keep one of them open so that in the morning it kind of lets in some light so that my kids wake up for school. But yeah, there are a couple of areas that we just wallpapered. So after the wallpaper dries, you want to add in the joint caulk into the cracks. And this is kind of random, but I went to the dentist with my kids last week, and it was like a very nice, clean, new building. And I noticed they didn't have joint caulk on their wallpaper. So maybe it's a preference thing, but one of the reasons why I would suggest it is because it helps seal the walls. So if you have a crack, in these types of houses, you could feel like a cool breeze if it's really cold outside. So you do want to seal up all the cracks in the house. And so I have this tube, and the first time that I cut open the new tube. I think the tip was too small, so it was not making smooth runs. So like you could see here, I actually don't want to show this, but right here, see there's like a little gap there and it's kind of bumpy. So if I just go over this one more time, I think it'll look better. And another thing, I'm not super sure about the best technique for joint caulk, but basically it reminds me of when I used to do puff paint when I was a kid. So you're gonna squirt it out, but you want to apply a good amount of pressure because you don't want to have a gap, and then if you push too hard you might have a bubble. So it's kind of hard to get the hang of it, and when I do mess up I am tempted to just wipe it and like smooth it out with my finger. But Seisuke said it is not a good idea to spread it like that, and he said you should just have one solid line and don't touch it if possible. So I don't know. One of the reasons he said that is because he thinks that over time it will show more dirt, but I don't really know. I don't know what to say, because I did do it in our old house. I saw like the seam where if you could see that, the seam where the two wallpaper pieces come together. One of the seams in our old house, it really bothered me, so I wanted to go over it with joint caulk, and he said it's like much more obvious that I like went over it and tried to cover it up with that. So I don't know, but let me show you a couple other areas. I did do this corner already, and you could see I tried to make it thick, but then I wiped it with my finger here, so you can see it is kind of a thicker but flatter line versus like here is just one line. So yeah, in the long run, I don't know which is gonna look better. Another weird thing that you really can't predict is the wallpaper has wet glue on the other side to make it attach to the wall. And when you're putting it down, glue is going to get everywhere. So you have to wipe off the excess glue that gets on the other parts of the wall. And you are just wiping it. You could feel it when you're wiping it because it's all like slimy, but it's clear, so you can't really tell. And then when it dries, I mean, you can't really see it, but then sometimes later you can see, oh, there's still some dry glue there. And that starts to turn yellow over time. So that's another thing that you really have. I feel like people who do DIY videos don't explain that, because they're just like, oh, it's finished, and they don't know what it's going to look like in 10 years. But I know what things look like 10 years after you DIY, because that's what my old house looks like. So I can see parts that we need to go back and fix. So let me show you. Let me turn on the lights. So Seisuke just put in the air conditioner, but look at, I see some spots. So this is probably just, it might be from his dirty hand when he was putting it in, but these are spots that we're gonna need to go back and wipe with just a damp cloth and try to get it off before they become permanent. So, okay, I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I wanted to explain one more thing. So a lot of people are wondering why we're doing wallpaper everywhere, especially like the ceiling. So I'm not a construction person, so I don't know all of the details, but let me just tell you that I've seen this in people who make professional houses too here. they use these boards to make the wall, and they're called secco board, which means plaster board. So it's literally plaster, and I'm sure if it gets wet, it'll disintegrate. So, and then you put plaster, just putty that you make, mixing it with water. You can put that over, like, if you have if you screw in a screw and you want to cover that so it's a smoother surface for wallpaper, you can put that. Or if there's like a gap in between because the board wasn't quite the right size or something. So basically what I'm saying is, this is a wall, and the way to cover it and protect it is to use wallpaper. You can't just paint on this because it's not going to be protected enough. Whereas like the wallpaper, I guess because wallpaper is not just paper, it's kind of like a coated paper, I think it protects it more. And you know, wallpaper, you can kind of wipe the surface and stuff. So that's why you need to do wallpaper in Japan. We don't have drywall, and I don't even know exactly how you make a ceiling or a wall with drywall. So I'm just telling you, that's the way it's done here. Unless you had a very specific company that knew how to do drywall and you have the budget to hire them. But then again, it's like getting your teeth done here. Like, because it's not the common method, and it's not as common as America, I don't know if they are very skillful in that area. So this is like the way it's done, and I'm sure that one of the reasons is because this is very thin, and especially if you don't put insulation behind it. So I'm sure that when they started constructing homes in the modern way, that they're probably thinking, oh, this is not gonna be as hot in the summer and it's not gonna get as moldy. I don't know. So that's the way they do it, and it's probably also like cost effective. So we also have it on the ceiling, and this is a closet that Seisuke is working on. So I guess there's gonna be the plasterboard there too. Let me show you our laundry room that he has started to add the walls to as well. There are a lot of areas where I'm like, what are you going to do next? And he doesn't have the answer yet. So I guess that's the thing about doing a DIY to your own home, is you can just kind of figure it out as you go along. So like this, I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm not sure why it can't come out. I'm not sure what he's going to do with it, because this looks like it's almost ready for wallpaper. But that's also that's what happens when you're married to certain people. They don't tell you everything. And I mean, I don't know, they probably think of things and they don't inform the other person. And so some of the things I just have to find out as we go along. But this post, I guess I didn't really expect it was going to be here, but I guess it's not coming out. So the person before had these holes in it. Maybe it had another beam going through or something. I don't know why there's so many holes. So one idea is to fill the holes and paint this black, because we had kind of like a black and white theme in the other rooms. I don't know. I just told him, like, because he said we have to keep this beam here. So I don't know. I just don't like the square holes. I feel like that's too random. So, but again, like now I'm just trying to get like a wall and a floor. So this is not my biggest priority right now. So I'm just going to wait and see. Another thing is the ceiling. We just have this laundry pull up for now, but it's not going to stay it's not going to stay here. But there was another wood beam here, and then Seisuke said he doesn't want the ceiling to be this low. He thought it would be too low to do that all around. So I guess what he wants to do is have like it go up and then make the ceiling here. So again, I don't really know how that's gonna look, but when I look around, I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll just wait and see what he's going to do. Other areas that I'm also waiting to find out are, of course, this door here, because this whole area used to be just a garage, like a storage shed, not even a garage that could fit a car. So this is a door from the outside to like put your gardening stuff into this area. It didn't even have floors. It had like just dirt on the floor, and now he has made the foundation and the insulation underneath, and then he put these what are these called, like plywood, MDF or whatever. He put that down to cover, and then the next step is to put in the flooring. So again, there, let me show you here. He put in the vanity, but he kept this wood beam going across, which is another thing I didn't expect, but I guess it was too hard to take it out. And so when I look at this, I'm just wondering how he's gonna connect all of the things together. And what is gonna become of this? Are we covering this with wallpaper? Are we painting it? Are we just sealing it? I don't know. It's just kind of a random thing. And at this point, I'm feeling like this is not my forever home. So I want to embrace the quirks and see how we can kind of just modernize as much as we can, and then work our way around the obstacles. So I mentioned that we did the wallpaper for the other walls. For this wall, I said, I don't want wallpaper here because we're doing hooks for the towels. And that to me seems like it will just get moldy. That's what happened in our towel area in our other house. You can see like spots of mold on the wall. And so I knew that he had some of these aluminum panels left over from another project. And I thought, okay, let's just put these here. They're, of course, wallpaper is cheaper because you're paying, I don't know the price of like one big piece, but you can cut them up. And but I thought, especially for this wall, it would be good because then it's waterproof basically. So he did that, and then I guess he decided to use pieces to go all the way around. But now I'm like, how are we going to connect these? So the first thing he did was, the edges are sharp. So he bought these things that go over the corner, and you basically just put them on with some kind of super glue, you know? And then that's why the tape's here, because when he glued them on, you know, you have to wait for it to dry. But then he ran out of pieces, so he has to go back and get more. But then I don't know what is gonna happen here. And then I see these are not even the same level. So I'm guessing there's gonna be more caulking. I think there's a type of caulking that is like a silicone, more of a thick silicone type, that I think he's gonna do that in between, but I'm not sure how it's gonna look after. And yeah, I think he used what pieces of plasterboard he had, and that's why he hasn't filled up the whole area yet. But, you know, he just does as much as he can in one day, and then the next day he picks up where he left off. So we'll just see what he does when he comes back. This house has a lot of uneven areas because it's so old. So that's why we ended up with, you know, uneven walls and stuff. And so like this part, I try not to show when I post, you know, like pictures and stuff, but basically we have a weird shape in the wall just because when he was building out the walls, that was kind of like the best he could do. So, you know, we're just working around what we have, and that's what I think is going to happen in the laundry room too. So yeah, I just wanted to explain about the wallpaper and my joint caulk job today. So yeah, I think I'll stop here and I'll try to post the finished joint caulk. Okay?